Ahoy! And welcome to the Boating Hour with Captain Rick. The Boating Hour brings you the latest and greatest essential information about everything that sails, floats, or motors upon the high seas of Southern California. From landlubbers to old salts, there'll be something for everyone. So climb aboard and get ready to sail with Captain Rick.
Ahoy out there, and welcome to the Boating Hour. I'm Captain Rick, and I want to thank you for joining us here on AM 870. We're here every Saturday at 4 p.m., and please be sure to visit us on the web at theboatinghour.com. And now all over social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble, The Boating Hour with Captain Rick. And, of course, our website, The Boating Hour with Captain Rick. Thanks to our sponsor for our show today. For a healthy gut, the best probiotic on the market, Livia One Probiotics, natural, organic, and allergen-free. And once again, if you're on race committee, you're a regatta chair or event coordinator, at land or at sea, if you need volunteers and helpers for your event, no matter how small or large, we can help. Whether at land or sea, contact Captain Rick. Captain Rick at theboatinghour.com. With our new alliance and sponsorship with Raycom, we can come out and supply the radio communications for your event or regatta. I'll work on the mark set boat, come out with my camera on the photo boat, or the committee boat, or even at your award presentation. So reliable two-way private communications with little to no drop or dead zones. So contact Captain Rick at theboatinghour.com for more information or for an appointment for me to come out. I'd love to come out and see your club. And today, back in the studio, Martin, thanks for coming back. Thanks for coming back to talk to us about your trip, your Croatia trip.
Anytime, Rick, and thanks for having me.
This is exciting. Let's go into, now, last week I had you on and I talked all about some great guests that I had, in December. My Christmas show, my New Year's show, I had some great guests in November, and I started running down all these great guests. Maybe one of these days next week I'll do just a show on all the great guests. But you're one of the phenomenal guests. You're coming back in the studio. I appreciate it. I want to hear about Croatia, but let's first talk about your sailing experience. Did you grow up with sailing? And you've been on the show before. I know you've talked about it.
Definitely. I grew up sailing. I learned sailing on a lake in Germany. Man-made lake, surrounded by rolling hills. That area actually looks a little bit like Virginia. In fact, when I drove through Virginia one time, I thought I was hallucinating because the area just looked like home in a way.
No kidding.
And actually, I drove past the lake, and I thought that, okay, this is creepy because it really looks like home. And
was the weather the same? The same weather?
Yeah, pretty much. It was amazing, and so I learned to sail on a lake, and on weekends or holidays we went to the Netherlands, sailed on the IJsselmeer. In the summer we went and sailed on the Baltic Sea and those kind of things.
So the man-made lake. Who made the lake?
Who made the lake?
Some man made a lake?
Actually, I think it was more than one. That lake was built in the 60s to provide a means to balance the water flow of the Rhine River and also to provide drinking water for adjacent cities and actually for the entire Ruhr area.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'll tell you another man-made lake. The Marina del Rey, at one time, was the largest small boat harbor, and it was built by the Army Corps of Engineers that came out. So that was a man-made area, not a lake, but Marina del Rey, one time, and not anymore, but at one time it was the largest recreational small boat harbor in the world.
I was going to say, I remember it being the largest recreational marina on the planet. Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, not anymore, and they've revitalized it and gentrified, and they've changed things around and built up and modernized it. So
it's still pretty big, though.
It is. It is. The original plan, and they never actually finished the original plan on the marina. I want to hear all about the Croatia trip with your background. This must have been so exciting. I want to know about how you barely touched on it last week, but how you got to go and what the area was like, and a little bit about the crew and about your experience.
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, that was a long time in the making, I want to say. My old buddy Jake always goes on a sailing trip with a bunch of friends towards the end of the summer. And he called me early last year and says, hey, you know what? There's a spot that opened up. Why don't you come and join us? And I was absolutely excited to do so. So end of September, actually, let me think. I flew out, I think, on the 21st of September.
Okay.
And then the sailing trip was the last week of September, and it was very, very amazing. And I mean, getting there is easy. I flew from LAX to Munich. For anybody who would wanted to go to Croatia directly, can of course do so. Can fly into Zagreb or Split, but I chose to fly into Munich. Get picked up by my buddy Jake.
How long was that flight?
That's like just shy of 10 hours.
Oh, is that
not a big deal?
Any crazy flyers running around screaming and yelling like you see on the internet?
No, none of that.
Thank God. Nice, quiet,
none of that. Nice,
flight.
quiet,
Right.
Uneventful. And my buddy Jake picked me up. We had dinner together at a local traditional restaurant. Very nice down there in Bavaria. And then the other guys joined us later at night. We stayed the night at Jake's house and got up at 4 a.m. and rolled out of his house at 5.
Oh, wow.
And, people think like Croatia is so far away, but, don't be fooled. I mean, it's just a 6-hour drive from Munich and you're in Croatia. It's barely farther than from here where we're sitting in LA to Vegas, a little bit past Vegas, if you will.
Oh, no kidding. Well, you must have had jet lag a little bit. What's the time difference?
9 hours.
9 hours ahead?
9 hours ahead, yes.
Okay, so yeah, your time clock was a little bit.
Yeah, that was a little bit off, but it actually helped that we wanted to get up at 4 a.m. and get rolling at 5, and so that worked. The drive was uneventful, and as we got closer, it started raining a little bit, which put a little bit of a damper on the mood, and so. Very, very swift. It was a smooth drive through Austria, a little bit through Slovenia, and I've never been to Slovenia and Croatia, and I must say I was amazed how neat and clean and how up to really convenience and amenity standards everything was. Everything was really very nice.
Well, the first time I started paying attention to Croatia was when the Croats had a significant World Cup competitive team, and we thought they were gonna win the World Cup many years ago.
Okay.
But I have since seen photographs and heard people talk about it. It's so. What was the sailing area like?
Well, the sailing area. Well, basically the Adriatic Sea. Is amazing. I mean, I'm I'm struggling for words for it because that's how nice it was. Geographically, it's the waters between the Italian peninsula and the Balkan, and it's basically the northeastern tip of the Mediterranean Sea. The water is amazing. It's nice blue with a slight hue of green to it. It's very clear. When you're anchoring, you stand on the front, you stand on the bow, and you can see the anchor from the boat.
My goodness,
it's amazing, and it's a very rugged coastline, lots of rocks, and pretty much immediately after the beach you see hills and mountains rising. So it's not rolling greenery. It's more rocks with bushes and shrubs sticking out here and there, and in some places you've got trees and grass and all that stuff. But it's a quite rugged mix, so makes for interesting scenery, and lots of islands, some small, some big, and that makes for an interesting feel as you sail around it.
Is there life on the islands? How?
Some are inhabited, some are not. Some are abandoned. Actually, there's 2 islands that used to have prisons on them in Tito's time. One was the women's island, one was the men's island, and as the name suggests, one was the women's prison, and one was the men's prison for
That's not where the
political
Epstein
dissidents.
Island is it?
No,
Oh,
no, that's a little bit farther. though.
Okay, that's on the other end of the world.
That's
All
on
right.
the other end of the world. But one can still go to those islands, and I forget either on I believe on the actually I think on both islands you can. Yeah, actually, you're right. You're thinking of it. On both islands, you can, if you want to, you can dock your boat, and some there's even a little bit of restaurant going on where you can buy food and take a break. But we didn't dock the boat on any of those, and we just looked at the ruins of the prisons from the water side. But you know, all those islands around almost make it feel as if you're sailing on a giant lake, rather than on something that's wide and ocean-like. I mean, the Mediterranean still is kind of like an inland sea, but definitely a very, very benign environment.
Wow. Well, you know, when you drop anchor on the Pacific Ocean, as soon as the anchor hits the water, you can't see it.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, here anchoring. Speaking of anchoring was very, very easy.
Really?
I mean, you find yourself a bay. All those islands have many, many bays of them. On them, and you just sail the boat into one of those bays and you drop the anchor. It's not very deep. It's like between 12 and 15 feet deep if you get close in.
No kidding.
Which is, especially when it's windy, that's where you want to get in. And you drop the anchor, and the anchoring ground in that area where we sailed is nice. So the northern part of the Adriatic Sea has nice sandy ground, so the anchor bites really well.
Clean water that you can go swimming? Did you get to jump in?
Every morning. That was the morning routine. And,
No kidding.
And yeah, you basically was mainly we anchored between 3 and 5 meters deep. So you put out between 9 and 15 meters of chain, and life's good, so easy going. A little bit further to the south, they like to do things a little bit differently. They the ground's more rocky, and that's where you have all those anchoring buoys, and you know you tie up to one of those buoys, and somebody comes up in a dinghy and charges you a couple of bucks to use their buoy. But in the north, we didn't need that quite that way.
And no alligators in there like in Florida, huh?
No.
People talk so much about Florida sailing, but I tell you, Florida sailing, I'm afraid of the alligators.
Afraid of the alligators. The sailing there was very easy. We didn't have, there's no hostile wildlife or anything of that sort. Nothing's really out to kill you. There's a lot of fish in the water, though. So,
what kind of, did you go fishing? Is that how you ate?
No, we didn't go fishing. You need to have a fishing license there, which I think I don't know how to get one, but yeah, same here. So I don't know how to get one there though. And we're like, you know what? We just brought everything. You know, the food and beverage logistics on the trip were actually quite simple. We always had home cooked meals on the boat. We except for the first and the last night, we never really stayed in a marina.
I see.
We stopped over once to just top off on groceries and a couple of beverages, but we just anchored the boat, slept on the boat, and in the morning made breakfast on the boat, Euro style, bread, deli meats, preservatives, preserves, marmalades, and all that stuff. Eggs, whatnot. Lunch was more like a snack, cured sausage, something like that. Basically something simple and handheld. Dinner was the fun part. Jake had a gas grill that he brought that we just set up on one of those little portable camping ones.
Oh, no
we just set that up on the cockpit table and cooked some part of the dinner on it, and used the pantry to cook up some sides, veggies, pasta, whatnot. Wow. So
let's talk about the boat.
Felt like kings there.
Yeah, tell me about the boat. What kind of boat? What kind of boat was it, and what are the accommodations like? And
oh yeah, sure. Well, the boat, the boat was a charter.
Okay.
It was actually very inexpensive. I think it was good value that we got there, and the value to or the charter cost to bang for the bucks was amazing. The boat was a Bavaria 37 cruiser, so as the name implies, 37 feet, and made by Bavaria shipyards. They're all over the place in in Croatia, and you basically you throw a rock in a marina and you hit a Bavaria boat. That's for sure.
Okay, well, they're popular here too. I know the name. I've known a few people that have had them, but they're nice boats.
Oh yeah, they're nice boats. They're the one that we had. There's a newer version of the 37 cruiser. We had the one with a single wheel in the back. It's a fractional sloop. We have furling jib, furling main. The furling main tends to the charter crowd, I believe. It doesn't give you the best upwind performance necessarily. So you have a tacking angle of around 110, 115-ish degrees.
Oh, so you're not racing in this one?
You're not going to race this one, but it's more like an RV with sails on it.
Oh, God!
But it does a good job at that. It's very, very comfy and very, very relaxing. It was really was medicine for the soul a week on that thing. And if you want to maneuver it, go into one of those little bays. It has an 18 horsepower inboard diesel, which makes life easy, and also it helps recharging the batteries in the morning. Our next year's boat will have more solar panels, so we won't need the diesel to recharge. But
you're already planning a trip next year?
Definitely. Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
Actually, this year.
Oh,
next year is this year.
This is next year.
This is next year now. Yes, and this year we'll have a 50-footer.
Okay.
Two of us turned 50, so we decided we'll get a 50-footer.
Okay, that's a good age. Are you going to the same area?
Oh yes, definitely. This last year we had 3 berths on the boat, which meant we had to rock, paper, scissors. Who has to sleep in the salon? And this year we don't have to do that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's talk about the crew. How big was the crew, and what was it like? And
crew was easy.
And any rumors if you got in any fights? I want to hear that.
Oh no, actually. You might think that first things first. You might think that 4 guys on a 37-footer for a week, that gets tight really fast and might be cause for some friction. But I must tell you, it was easy going. The guys were just amazing. 3 friends of mine from Germany and I 2 of them I met through Jake. Jake and I go back many, many years, and it was just amazing.
It's funny when you do mention crew and people getting along. One of my favorite guests was Sean and Marissa. Sean was a paddleboarder and a competitive windsurfer, and he had a surf shop and got into sailing, and he's building boats, and he bought an iconic catamaran from Willie Hort that was Marico Sails. He started the Marina del Rey Historical Society. So I had him on a show, and then 2 dock neighbors, Sean and Marissa. And Marissa's a very good friend of mine from South Africa, and she's out here in the entertainment business. Well, they were both having significant other issues, and so they got together, the 2 of them, and they tried to escape COVID for about a month when it first started, thinking they'd go down to Mexico. Well, they ended up going for almost the year, and they liked each other so much. She brought her little doggy. They came back and were engaged. So sometimes, because
sometimes it works out.
Sometimes you go out to race in a regatta for like a Wednesday night at the Cal Yacht Club races that they have the Wednesday nights, and when you're done on that race, you don't want to see your friend for a couple of days. Hopefully you make up before the next Wednesday.
Right.
But you hear about these stories. Let's get back to the your because I could go off on a tangent and start talking about all the great guests I have.
No worries.
I got great guests coming up, and it's going to be really exciting. The stuff that we're going to do, we're going to participate in some booths and shows. So we'll be out there, and I put that out there that I'll come out on race Mark Set Boat Race Committee, come out with my camera, take pictures, and bring the 2-way communications for the race committee. So I could go off on a tangent, but I'm going to hear a little bit more about why Croatia. What made you think Croatia? There's a lot of places to go in the world, and what was the catalyst to charter a boat and go out there with a bunch of friends and tell me a little bit about that.
Well, for my buddy Jake, the catalyst was that it's within easy reach.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And it's really, as you said, it's you need to have an idea somehow. And from where he lives, it's a short drive.
Oh, where
like
does he live?
He's in the Munich area.
Oh, okay. So he's German. These are your German buddies.
Yes.
Okay.
And
I'm German. My mother was German.
Oh yeah. I know. Yeah.
My mother's from Leipzig.
Yeah, your last name is a dead giveaway, definitely. So for him, just the drive's comparable, like from here to Vegas and a little bit farther.
Oh.
So it's not a big deal, and chartering the boat there is very, very inexpensive, and especially if you bring your own food, if you don't shop. I mean, there are some groceries which are worth dragging along in the car.
Okay.
So basically anything that's grill meats, anything that you want to throw on the grill is better if you bring your own. And as it so happens, one of my sailing buddies here on that trip is friends with a butcher, and so he always gets a good hookup. And also if you things like beverages, whether alcohol or not, is cheaper just to throw a bunch in the car and basically bring a week's worth of supply.
Well, I'm sure if you land on one of the small islands, the grocery shopping there is probably not cheap.
The grocery shopping there is not cheap. I mean, it's okay if you want to do things like, the standards, especially non-perishables like pasta and stuff like that.
Okay.
You don't need to haul that around. But basically, if you want to buy a can of beer that's like €1.70, which is quality $1.70 for sake of simplicity, versus if you bring it from home, it's like grocery store price, like 60-70 cents a can. So that makes a difference.
Excellent. What if did you calculate how far you went, how many miles in the whole trip? Do you know?
I want to say about 200.
Oh, really?
We took it easy. The first day actually was funny. The first day the morning was still raining and we wanted to get out so bad. So we just when there was a break in the clouds, we just pushed the boat off and. Or dieseled the boat, for that matter, and went out of our starting point, which was the marina of Punat on the island of Crick. And we basically went just south, and we just wanted to get away from the bad weather. And as soon as we were out of the harbor, we got wind on our stern at about 40 knots. So we were really making good distance the first day.
That's such an amazing trip. It sounds so exciting. I'd like to do that one of these days. Are there charter companies that someone can join, or do you got to charter your own?
Plenty. There's, the internet's your friend, and and many of the charter companies. Ours was very, very professional, and they have, many of them have more than one boat, so a whole bunch, and. It's easy going. You book through the internet. You make your payment. Modern payment methods are all accepted, and you go there, check in and check out. Are both a breeze, and they're very professional, hospitable, and very welcoming. I recommend it. It's amazing.
That sounds really exciting. I'd really love to do that one of these days. And did you take pictures?
Oh yeah, about between the four of us, probably several hundred.
Oh, no kidding! Well, can you share some of those with us? And put it up on
definitely.
The site?
Sure, definitely.
I'd love for you to do that. I'd love to put that up on the site and share some of the photos.
I'll send you some.
That really looks like one of the more amazing places to go in the world, especially now if it's peaceful and the weather's good. And boy, I tell you, to get away from the stress and turn off the television and the internet and just have a wonderful time. Well, Martin, thanks for coming back.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for sharing your story. And I really hope this inspires people to think about chartering and cruising and going with friends. It's really, boating is such a wonderful thing to do. Well, that's all the time that we have for you today, and I hope you enjoyed our show and our wonderful guest, Martin. Thanks again for coming out and talking about Croatia and coming back and
thanks for having
being on the show last week as well. So as always, we are so very fortunate to have such wonderful and exciting guests, and let's not forget the Coasties, protecting our waters and America's lifesavers and guardians of the sea. Be sure to find us and subscribe on social media, now on YouTube, Instagram, Rumble, and Facebook. Remember, if you do it right and follow the guidelines and safety precautions, there's no place like being out on the water in the fresh air and sunshine in beautiful, sunny Southern California. Here at the Boating Hour with Captain Rick, we cover everything that sails, motors, and floats from San Diego to Santa Barbara. Thanks for being with us today. Please be sure to join us next week and every Saturday at 4 p.m. on AM 870. And thanks to our sponsor for the show today. For a healthy gut, Livia One Probiotics. Don't forget to visit us on the web at theboatinghour.com and now all over Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. The Boating Hour with Captain Rick. Keep your emails coming. This is Captain Rick saying ahoy and fair winds to all.